So we have chapter 9 this week, A View to a Death. It's a short chapter, and you should be thinking, whose death? What death? Is that real? I'm going to start off with a highlight from last chapter, and this was when Simon was talking to the gift to the beast, gift to the darkness, which was the head of the sow that Jack and his hunters had killed and put it on a stick. And much like any kind of ritual for any kind of tribe, they put it as an offering. So what that means is they're acknowledging the quote unquote beast and they're giving it something. And that's much like any kind of sacrifice, whether it's the Mayans sacrificing a human by pulling out their beating heart. It's that kind of acknowledgement, and that really shows they're no longer in the realm of society and what's logical and sequential and concrete and clear. They're starting to get into a different realm. Now, Simon has this ability. He's different from the others, that he's communicating with this Lord of the Flies. Now, I put this slide up to show you that Lord of the Flies translated, or the other way around, the name Beelzebub means Lord of the Flies. And in the Bible, so this is a biblical allusion, that is another name for Satan. And it's also associated with the Canaanite god Baal. So something that they would worship. And this, in the last chapter, you should have read what the Lord of the Flies was saying to Simon, or communicating, but I want you to understand that he's communicating it in the sense of symbolizing all that is evil, as Satan would. Okay, a couple highlights from the chapter. So hopefully you've already listened to it or read it, whichever way we want to say that. So let's look at the couple of the highlights that I found, and it is not in The Great Gatsby. All right, let's find her. There it is. I just saw it. Yes. Okay. View to a Death. So when any book talks about the weather, it's not an accident. So this one begins off with, there's a buildup of clouds. There was a steady heat that rose all day. The air pushed in from the sea was hot and held no refreshment. Nothing prospered but the flies who blackened their lord and made the spilt guts look like a heap of glistening coal. You should feel the pressure, and we've all been out on a day where the humidity, you can palpitate it. It's around you. It's real. So it's telling us that something's going to happen. It's going to build up. Okay, so the Lord of the Flies, I just showed you a slide what that looked like, hung on his stick like a black ball. And so Simon spoke aloud to the clearing. What else is there to do? Now remember, Simon made the suggestion in the last chapter that they need to climb the mountain and face the beast. And that is what he does. So when the wind reached the mountaintop, he could see something happen, flicker of blue stuff against brown clouds, and Simon saw a humped thing suddenly sit up on top and look down at him. Then as the blue material of the parachute collapsed, the corpulent figure would bow forward, sighing, and the flies would settle once more. Soon he understood. So I'm reading all the highlighted part. Then he took the lines in his hands and he freed them from the rocks and the figure from the wind's indignity. I love doing a psychological reading of this book, because what did Simon do? Any of us, all of us, have some sort of buried fear, some trauma that could be connected to an event or a person, a moment. And guess what it's doing? It's sitting up at the top of the mountain, and it scares us so much that we can't call for help or send a signal out or become part of society, whatever the case may be. We can't connect. And we end up staying down by the lagoon or close to the beach, and all we're doing is thinking about it and we're afraid of it. So when Simon says, what else is there to do? Really, metaphorically, he's saying we have to climb the mountain. And for some people, that takes the form of therapy, whatever it is, journaling. We need to climb the mountain, go through the work to get up there, to look the beast in the face, understand it, and then set it free. And that's what Simon does. Okay, Simon thought this, he turned to the poor broken thing. So no longer is it fear. It's definitely not anger that sat stinking at his side. The beast was harmless and horrible, and the news must reach the others as soon as possible. So Simon climbs back down to tell everybody. Now, meanwhile, Jack has caught that pig, and he's having a party, and he's trying to lure all the boys to his side of the island, his way of doing things. So a lot of the boys are missing, and Ralph and Piggy realize that, and they're like, well, why don't we go get some meat? Okay, so they're coming up to it, and long before they get there, they can hear the party going on. And what does it look like? A great log had been dragged into the center of the lawn, and Jack, painted and garlanded, sat there like an idol. Piles of meat on green leaves near him, and fruit and coconut shells full of drinks. So quite a different type of existence than the conch and the lagoon. Okay, so they're giving food out, and they're bringing some to Ralph and Piggy. And when the boys run by Piggy, they bumped Piggy, who was burnt, and yelled and danced. And immediately Ralph and the crowd of boys were united and relieved by a storm of laughter. Piggy once more was the center of social derision, that everyone felt cheerful and normal. Just an interesting thing is even Ralph is laughing. That you've probably had a class, I know I do, where there's always somebody that is the source of laughter, whether they mean to be or not, or derision of some kind. It's not always evil in intention, but it's just they're kind of the goofy one, and that's Piggy. Beneath a sky of thunderous brass that rang with the storm coming. Okay. All right. Guess what Jack says? Has everybody eaten as much as they want? Okay. This is the deal with the devil. Jack, I gave you meat. Here's my request now. Are you done eating? Who's going to join my tribe? Jack says, I gave you food. My hunters are going to protect you from the beast. Who's going to join my tribe? Now here's Ralph. I'm chief. You chose me. Jack ignored him again. Who'll join my tribe and have fun? Remember, this is the id talking. I'm going to give you fun, not rules, none of that. All at once, the thunder struck. Okay, going to be a storm, said Ralph. You bet there's going to be a storm, a real one, and a storm of conflict between these characters. And you'll have rain like when you dropped here, he says to Jack, right? Who's clever now? Where are your shelters? What are you going to do about that? So Ralph, using logic, exposes the id. Okay, so how does Jack respond? He says, do our dance. Come on, do our dance. Now, what their dance is that they form a circle. Someone pretends to be a pig, and they circle around it, and they chant. All right, so we're offering gifts to gods. He's dressed in a mask and paint, and they get themselves all worked up again over the excitement they feel during a hunt, and they relive it. And that's what the id has to offer. Jack, the ego who's listening to the super ego, is like, I got it planned out. If it rains, we got shelters. What do you have? And what can the id offer? I can offer you guys excitement. Let's all get ourselves worked up over this. And so they do that. Roger ceased to be a pig and became a hunter. So the center was empty, and some of the Lillans started a ring of their own. So they're imitating this. Kill the beast, cut his throat, spill the blood. Now out of the terror rose another desire, thick, urgent, blind. The circle became a horseshoe. A thing was crawling out of the forest. The beast stumbled into the horseshoe. Simon was crying out something about a dead man on a hill. Kill the beast. They're in a frenzy at this point. And Simon's crawled out of the forest. The sticks fell on the mouth of the new circle, crunched and screamed, and the beast was on his knees and in the center, its arms folded over its face. Something about a body on a hill? The crowd surged after it, poured down the rock, leapt on the beast, screamed, stalked, bit, tore. Guess what they're doing? They're in their moment, and they're killing him. Clouds opened and let down the rain like a waterfall. Only the beast lay still a few yards from the sea. The beast is Simon's body at this point. On the mountaintop, the parachute filled and moved. The figure slid, rose to its feet, spun, swayed down through a vastness of wet air, and trod with ungainly feet the tops of the high trees. Falling, still falling, it sank toward the beach, and the boys rushing, screaming into the darkness. So, like a prophet, Simon climbs the mountain, finds out the truth, comes down to reveal it to the people, and what happens to most prophets? They're killed. Their message is not accepted or listened to. But we just have this fun little moment at the end where what he freed, the parachutist, swoops down over the beach, and all the little boys scatter and run away. Sort of funny. It's not funny though that Simon is dead because the beast, which is Simon, lay huddled on the pale beach and the stains spread inch by inch. This is awful. The edge of the lagoon came a streak of phosphorescence which advanced minutely. Now it touched the first of the stains. So this phosphorescence is when there's creatures in the sea that can actually glow in the dark. And that's what's forming around the ocean and around Simon's body. And these creatures moved to patch as light around him. The water rose farther and dressed Simon's coarse hair with brightness. Fiery eyes, trailing vapors busied themselves around his head. The body lifted a fraction of an inch from the sand, and a bubble of air escaped from the mouth with a wet plop. Then it turned gently in the water. What's happening here is softly, this effervescence from the sea is taking Simon's body out toward the open sea. Might seem kind of strange to you. This is a mythological illusion. I don't have in front of me which character it was that was murdered for the message he delivered. And then the elements of the water came and took his body. That's giving it honor, recognizing this person is not of this world and they will be taken to the world that they are honored. That's really the sense that you can get from this. Okay, so just to give you a little visual. Okay, so let's start with this one. Here's Simon, like a prophet, climbs the mountain, frees the people, leads them to enlightenment, not listened to. And in a sense, he's resurrected. That's what it can also mean. So further abuse is not done to his body. They never found Moses' body. Christ's body was resurrected, right? Not of this world. That's what we should really be feeling. Okay. Oh, we got a little one right there. So they all were a part of this and they were caught up in the id, this frenzy. Okay. And there's some of the effervescence there to show you what it looked like. Carried away by, he's just not of this world. Okay. So that is the end of this chapter. See you at the next one.